Hello and welcome to a new episode of Airport CEO here on BongoPlanes, where we will continue our work on Terminal 2, mainly the interior, to improve the customer experience of our passengers going through there so that we get better ratings, which will lead us to better contracts. And with that, we are also encountering our first major issues with our airport, something we hopefully will be able to solve together, but all that right after the drop. As always, before we get too far into today's video, if you should end up enjoying this episode, then don't forget to leave a like. That would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. Now, the first thing I'm going to do here is work a little bit on the baggage reclaim area, and that's just because we do already now have quite a few people coming through here. So this is an area where passengers always will be waiting around, and just to not have our ratings drop because they don't know where to go from here, I think this is one of the first things we should improve rather quickly. Also, of course, making sure that there are some bathrooms in the vicinity of the baggage reclaim areas. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, we are encountering a few issues with our airport. It's something I've noticed since we last were together in the last episode. And a good way to find out if something is not going as it should is by looking at the ratings. And most ratings are quite alright, but we have one which is pretty much as low as it can get. And that is in relation to the outbound luggage. So we need to try to see if we can improve that, because right now it's quite catastrophic. So the first thing, of course, that I would look at is, well, getting more staff in. Even though the game might say that you currently have enough, this does fluctuate quite a lot. So it's always good to have, well, as much staff as possible. So we're hiring as much as we can throughout the episode. I've also hired quite a bit off camera, and I will continue to do so. Because that will always help you out regardless of how well your airport is running. But unfortunately, I don't quite think that in this case it will solve the issue, but we will monitor it throughout the episode and see if there's anything else we can do. But before we delve further into that, I would also like to sign a few airlines. Obviously, last time we had our first commercial flights coming in, but I would like to have at least one more airline operate at our small stand. So I'm trying to find an airline that mainly has aircraft types that work with that. And I think that will have to be a vanilla game airline, because none of the others, none of the modded airlines use these aircraft types. So we will just have to live with that. But I think we should also hire a real airline, a modded airline. But obviously, you've already made a lot of great suggestions. We won't hire too much at once because we want to be able to handle these flights. Again, it's a question of the ratings, making sure that we can fulfill the contract that we are taking on. But no worries, your contributions so far have been noted down. And of course, any other suggestions you might have, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. We will, of course, get to them throughout the series. So the airline I think we will sign today will be KLM. And I think we should find one more. And so we have another SAS. I think we should get as much Scandinavian Airlines into this airport as possible, given that it is the hub of the airline in real life. But we should get another one in. Let me see. There's a lot of airlines already here offering contracts. Some of them have already been suggested by you as well. But I think for today, I would like to find another airline from the north, if I can find it. There it is, Finnair. I think that could be nice. So KLM and Finnair will be the next airlines that are coming into Copenhagen. All right, but unfortunately, we still have an issue with the loading of our aircraft. Now, obviously, the game says our rating is terrible when it comes to loading the aircraft with the luggage. So that must mean there is some issue with, well, getting the luggage from the check-in counters and then from this baggage base to the aircraft. So the first thing here is increasing the amount of staff at the baggage base, because maybe there just wasn't enough to handle the amount of luggage coming in when there were multiple aircraft. That could be. The other thing that I've also seen here is, for example, yes, I do hire a lot of staff, but the game automatically splits that staff up over the terminal areas that we have created. Normally that would be a good thing, because then it will just average out, but in this case, as we are at the moment only operating one terminal, that's actually quite annoying. So we have to manually kind of say, no, I don't want to have the staff at Terminal 3 or Terminal 1. I want it to be at Terminal 2, because that's where I need it at the moment. I don't remember if there's any way to actually switch that feature off. I mean, as I say, normally this would be a great feature, because normally it would be nice to have the staff split up over the terminals when you're hiring, so you don't have to do it manually. But in this case, it's contradicting what we want to do. I mean, in reality, we should just not have created these terminal areas, but I wanted to be sure that we had the right terminology for the terminals as they are in real life. So that's our issue, that's our problem, but hey, we have to live with that. We can also take a quick look here at the dashboard to see if there's anything else. I mean, we could extend the shifts of workers, but I mean, if we have enough staff, then that shouldn't really be necessary. So I'm not quite sure. I don't think this, I mean, yes, it's good that we make sure that the staff we're hiring isn't assigned to a terminal that isn't in operation. That's for sure. But I don't think that is the reason why we have these issues with loading the aircraft. Now, of course, this automatic assignment doesn't just happen with staff. It does also happen with GSE. And I'm fairly sure that I have bought enough GSE to handle the amount of stands and gates that are open at the moment. But obviously, if the GSE is assigned to a different terminal, then it's of no use. So we do also quickly need to go through this to make sure that we assign it to the right terminal. I mean, it's not like we didn't have any GSE assigned already to Terminal 2. The majority of the GSE we had bought was assigned to Terminal 2. So I don't think the result should be as catastrophic. And again, it should actually, I mean, if that was an issue, it would probably have affected more areas and not just the luggage handling. I mean, if all the fueling trucks had been assigned to Terminal 1 or Terminal 3, then we would also have an issue with the refueling of aircraft. We didn't. So that makes me believe that it's a good thing to reassign these GSE to Terminal 2, but it's not the main issue. But now that we have reassigned staff and GSE, we'll keep an eye on it. But right now, let's continue our work with the interior, because that's, of course, another area where we need to do something. Because right now, it's quite bare-boned. And while we could just leave it like this, obviously, if we start offering some services to passengers, they might be more happy with us, which will increase their rating of the airport, which will increase our chances of getting better and more contracts with airlines. So obviously, it is important to do something here. And my attempt will, of course, be to recreate the shopping hell, as I like to call it, of Copenhagen Airport. In my opinion, Copenhagen Airport is completely overloaded with shops to a completely ridiculous point. But I mean, okay, that's the way many airports go these ways. It's only that Copenhagen Airport perhaps doesn't really have the space for the amount of shops they have included, and they have completely forgotten that there might also be some necessity for waiting areas for passengers while they're waiting for their gates to be announced. But that's just my personal experience with Copenhagen Airport. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the airport in real life, but we will try to recreate this feeling here in the game. I don't know, this is actually, why am I doing this? I'm recreating an airport that I actually don't like. But I mean, okay, it does have some interesting features, and that's why it is fun to do this build, but yeah, maybe I should have found a better airport. Anyway, we're trying to recreate some of these many shops. Actually, also a little bit from memory, because basically, for example, we do have a shopping area right after the security check, which you pretty much have to go through in real life. Then on your way to Terminal 2, you have some actually mainly like, well, there are actually some stores, and then there are some kiosks, some cafes, stuff like that. More like kiosks, to be honest, not really cafes, but we can only build cafes here. Or they call it cafes in the game, but I mean, I guess it's a kiosk. So we'll also do that. We do also have some shops right around the area where we have the escalators down to the luggage retrieval areas. So we will also recreate that. And then we have a passage where we again have loads of stores, but we do also have some restaurants above those. You then actually in real life have lounges, and we have already created the floor above where we also will build lounges, but not in this episode, but we will get to that hopefully in the next episode, or in at least a future episode. But we'll try to do the same thing here, that we on one side, so basically the side facing towards the land side, that's where we will have some shops, and on the side facing towards the air side, that's where we will have some cafes and restaurants. But just while we're doing that, I also quickly would like to take a look here at our taxiway system, because at the moment it does seem like aircraft are pretty much blocking each other. This is definitely not very effective. That does also cause some delays, obviously, but I guess that's to be expected, at least for the moment, because obviously we don't have most of our taxiways up and running at the moment. Basically, the more we build and the more taxiways we basically activate, the better that should be. But it's something we need to keep an eye on to make sure that we do improve on, and that we make sure that aircraft are getting in towards the ramp and out of the ramps more effectively than they are currently doing. But let's get back to the interior of Terminal 2. Now, as I mentioned, in real life, in Terminal 2 at least, you don't really have any waiting areas other than at the gates, which is annoying in real life because you don't really have the announcement of your gate before like 15 minutes advance. So that's, you're just standing around, you don't know where to go. You're standing in the way of people that want to go to the gates or are shopping. It's a nightmare. But we do have a little bit of the same thing here, because I can see we have quite a few passengers actually going downstairs to the luggage retrieval area, even though they're outbound passengers, because that's where they can sit down and wait. So we need to improve on that a little bit. So we need to add a few seating arrangements across the terminal, which will be a challenge because we don't have much space. So I mean, you can see they don't really wait. They just go straight down and wait downstairs, which we don't want. So I think here, right after the security check, we do have a little bit of space. It's too little to add shops, but it's also too much to just leave unused. So I think this could be an area where we could place some seating arrangements. Hopefully that will be popular with passengers. And we do of course also need facilities, and although we do have quite a few facilities across the terminal, they are again mainly around the gate areas, and if passengers aren't going there at the moment, they might want to use facilities before, so we should add them here as well. It's a tight squeeze, but I mean, again, that just is the feeling of at least Terminal 2 at Copenhagen Airport anyway, so that's perfectly fine. So the seating arrangements should also be added. Why not with a view? That would also be nice. A little bit of staff, because we also need that. Some info screens, just so people can, when they arrive here, coming through security, can see some info screens, can see, oh, I don't know where to go, and then they can just sit down. So that should work fine. But now that the game has been running for a while, let's get back to our mystery of why we don't get any outbound luggage. I mean, okay, we do have some staff shortages. Again, that's to be expected, and we are constantly hiring. But our rating is still catastrophic when it goes for outbound luggage. It hasn't improved a bit. If anything, it's gotten worse. So let's take a closer look at what's going on. I mean, here, nothing is happening. Let's see if we can find a flight, an aircraft that, let's check out this one. Let's check out this ATR. I mean, there is some activity around the aircraft. The luggage is going out, so that's okay. But is that the pushback truck already arriving? Okay. Okay, let's see the schedule. Okay, this is the ATR. I mean, supposedly it should leave now. clearly isn't ready yet. I mean, the luggage was just going out. Why is this taking so long? Is this catering, I guess, that has just arrived? So this is now the luggage. Okay, but I can see the other one is also coming with the outbound. Why did it take so long to offload the luggage? So yeah, catering is done now, but it should already have left the aircraft, and they are still loading the aircraft. Or they're starting it now. Wait, they didn't load the aircraft, they took the luggage and nothing happened. What happened there? Okay, so I've let the game run for a while, and the problem persists. And the main issue is that we are just not loading the aircraft. But I have an idea. I think I've found two things that I can say fairly confident. One thing is that catering is triggering very late. Catering is arriving at the aircraft and is being pulled off, but the catering truck most of the time arrives just around the time the aircraft needs to take off. So very, very late. There's no reason why it wouldn't start off go to the aircraft earlier. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. The other thing is then the luggage handling. And obviously the aircraft can't be loaded with luggage before it has been offloaded. And offloading takes forever. So I think that's actually the issue. The issue is just that cargo handling in itself takes forever. And especially the offloading takes a very long time. And because it does so, there's just no time left for actually loading the aircraft. Why that is the case, I'm not sure, because yes, we do have occasional staff shortages, but that's not a new thing in the game, and we're constantly hiring to compensate for that. So it shouldn't affect the whole turnaround process as badly as it does at the moment, I would think. The other thing is that our setup is not really that different from what we have had in the past, and that worked just fine. I have a suspicion that maybe some things are triggered late by the game at the moment, but obviously I don't know for sure. If you have experienced anything like this, then do feel free to let me know. I have to say I recorded this before the last episode was aired, so obviously there might already be an update to the game that has fixed this issue. But in any case, if you have experienced something like this where some tasks just seem to be triggered very late and therefore delaying the aircraft or therefore not being able to fulfill all of the tasks, then do feel free to let me know in the comment section below. And especially, of course, if you have a solution to this issue, because we can continue, but obviously it's not great when we have such a catastrophic rating, because at some point, obviously, this could have an effect on what airlines we are being able to sign contracts with. So yeah, unfortunately we are ending today's episode on a mystery that I wasn't able to solve, but maybe you can help out in this case. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like. That would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, then don't hit subscribe. Then don't forget to hit subscribe. That would be better. With that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.